What is going on? Welcome back to another barbecue late night live. I'm your host, Grill Sergeant, aka Andrew Rogue from Los Angeles, California. Jared, introduce yourself.
What is up, everybody? I am Jared from South Texas, San Antonio area, from Frack Daddy Barbecue, guys. And tonight, you guys are in for a killer of a show. We promise there's going to be a little bit of dry humor, if you kind of get what I mean.
Wow, that was top. Hey, you always complain about my dad jokes, and now you're busting them out like. And hey, Jared, isn't there something we need to congratulate you on about your channel?
That is right, guys. We hit 2,000 subscribers on our 2-year anniversary of Frack Daddy Barbecue today. So I want to say thank you to everybody who has joined us on this 2 years of craziness. My brother from California, to where we've become like family now. And who would have known? Like, YouTube brings people together.
Absolutely, man. And so today we have a special episode, just as Jared said. Today's episode pretty much involves everything with dry aging. So if you've never heard about dry aged beef and you're kind of scratching your head, this video is going to be the one you're going to want to watch. Before we dive in, though, I do want to thank our channel sponsor, Castle Hives. Brian, thank you for your support. All right, so the first time I've had dry aged would be probably about a year ago. I was at the market and I was getting a big fat tomahawk steak. I noticed behind the butcher, he had like this glass shelf and like the meat looked like nasty. I was like, well, what is that? And he's like, oh, that's our dry aged meat. And I'm like, so he was basically saying that, they cut it off, all the stuff that looks nasty about it, and it's going to be great. So I got 2 tomahawks, cooked them side by side, and the flavor that I got off of just like the dry aged tomahawk was absolutely insane. But that was the last time I did it, just because of the cost. It is so expensive to buy, pre-done dry aged. So, Jared, when's the first time you've had a dry aged steak?
As a matter of fact, my very first time I did my very first video, I did a reverse sear on a boneless ribeye. And I got it from our local HEB Central Market. And I mean, like you said, for one, the price is, you look at a regular cut of beef and you take it to the next level. You're looking at $30, $40 for a steak. And I tell you guys, if you kind of like the blue cheese kind of little funkiness stuff, man, this is going to be right up your alley. But first time I had it, I fell in love.
Right on. So me and Jared had the pleasure of teaming up with a company called SteakAger, and I'm going to show some photos right now. So basically, without spoiling too much, so here's me next to my SteakAger Pro 40, and that I went down to Costco. I was able to find an 18.5 boneless full ribeye. And the only crappy thing is you literally have to wait for it to dry age. So I put it in my SteakAger, and it's the long road of 45 days before I can, enjoy it. Now, Jared, Jared's always got to one-up me. If we talk about like California barbecue and then you talk about Texas barbecue, not only did he do a boneless ribeye, but Jared, explain what's going on in this photo.
Okay, guys. So on my left side, you're going to see a 18-pound choice brisket. We're taking that bad boy to 60 days. And right next to the brisket, you see a 15-pound Wagyu ribeye from not only the best meat company in West Texas, from Midland Meat Company, guys. I tell you what, first time I'm ever going to dry age Wagyu. So we're going to see how this goes. And that's going to be a 45.
Nice. That is awesome. Well, hey, without further ado, let's get the creator of the SteakAger on the show. So let's welcome Scott to the stream. Welcome, Scott. Glad to have you on our live show.
Hey, Scott. Welcome.
Thanks for having me.
What is going on? Thank you for hopping on live with us. I know just between our previous talks, me and Jared have personally learned so much, just, kind of the behind the scenes of how dry aging works and, what to expect in that journey. But I figure to kind of just start out this live stream is, take someone who's never heard of the process of dry aging, and then just work them through, what is dry aging, how's it done, and then we'll get into about the SteakAger. So you take it away, man.
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so wow, dry aging is probably the oldest. It is the oldest method of preserving beef or meats. At the right time of year, at the right temperature, you would hang a slab of beef under a barn shed in a basement. You'd have a slight wind, and it would basically, for 30, 40 days, you knew that your meat was okay. It was that time of year. You had a certain temperature, sub 40 degrees Fahrenheit, and you would lose weight, water, and you'd have an amazing steak. Between then and now, industry gets involved, and we've got all kinds of other different things, wet aged. We've got all kinds of different processes to do this, but it's the old way. When a typical piece of beef is 75% water, 75% water. So what dry aging does is wicks moisture from the beef, and you lose moisture content. So what do? You concentrate beef. You just concentrate all the flavor profiles. And then the later you go into the aging, you begin to, through a process called the Maillard reaction, you get an enzymatic reaction where you actually change the flavor of the beef entirely. It's a completely different steak experience. You would find it in high-end restaurants all over the world. And it's very expensive because it takes time, it takes money, it costs, inventory holding time, blah, blah, blah. And our technology allows you to do it at home so you can enjoy it anytime, not just, some special occasion. It could be Tuesday and it's a great day. Let's do this.
That's awesome, man. And so what what made you, how did you end up, creating SteakAger, and walk us through that?
Well, it goes back a ways into a hobby. I make charcuterie. I have for years, and it's just a fun hobby. And I remain obsessed with making prosciutto, the European way. And I had an old friend reach out and say, "Hey, can you dry age beef at home?" And at that time, I had dry aged beef in a steak in Hong Kong, Vegas, and I think New York. And it was an amazing experience. But I have an engineering background, and the first thing I always say is, well, let me think about that. And then we created the SteakAger technology. It was we created a box, we patented it, that creates a microclimate in a fridge. So we took a box that has controls and it basically will hold 12, 15 pounds of meat. And that's our Pro 15. And it's a microclimate within a fridge. So it's not refrigerated. That was 2016, 15, and then it's progressed into refrigerated units. It's progressed into different designs, bigger capacities. We're doing commercial systems now. It's gone from a hobby to a life, a business life.
Nice. Very cool. And then Jared, if you just want to, take care of the chat if people have any questions. But I guess, let's walk through, when it comes to like the different models that you offer. Let's say start from, your, entry level and explain the features, and we can go all the way up to,
Absolutely. Okay, so we have two basic models. Well, we have, yes, in size. This is a Pro 15. And it'll hold about 15 pounds of beef, and it's designed to fit inside of a fridge. And if you think about why would you put it in your fridge, what a lot of people don't realize is there are 35 million garage refrigerators in the United States. So that's where pizza goes to die, and beer sits, and water hangs out, and that's our real estate for this to live in. So nice. If you've got a garage fridge, boom, you're good to go. This creates a microclimate where the thing about refrigeration is it's cold and dry, right? That's why you have a crisper that tries to slow the fridge from destroying all your veg. The same problem is with beef. If you put this chunk of beef into a fridge without the right process control and systems, it'll just rot within days. What we do with our microclimate is manage that, and it can sit in here for 6 months if you wanted to. That's a little bold, but 45 days, 50 days is perfect.
Wow.
So that's our Pro 15. And then we flip over here to our Pro 40, which this one I'm running Brasola, which is a beef tenderloin. And this will run charcuterie or it'll do dry aging. We won't do it each at the same time, but you can toggle back and forth. You can put down I've seen guys put down up to 50 pounds of beef into this, and then flip around and they'll do Lonzino, they'll do sausages, they'll do whatever they feel like, and it's just a nice addition. It really is. The refrigerated unit.
Nice.
That's it's got ability and capacity. It's great.
Now, maybe let's go into like some of the. I would say for the Pro 40, there's a lot of accessories and stuff that you can get for it, and maybe go through like explaining kind of like the different racks and maybe like just the different options that you could upgrade to.
Well, when you're dry aging, you don't dry age a single steak. You're going to dry age a full subprimal. A full subprimal. This is the better part of the subprimal. It's 12 inches long, and beef in the world moves around in subprimals. So when you go to your supermarket and you buy a slabbed piece of steak, it's cut from a subprimal. So you can hang. I mean, our simplest unit just has meat hooks, and you can take a full subprimal, cut it with a meat hook, or stab it with a meat hook, hang it, and it's done. It'll work fine. What we know as users is it gets you get wet fingers, and it's a little tough to deal with. So we invented these truss racks, which are patent pending and doing their magic, and they allow you to drop a full subprimal in whatever shape it is, bone in, bone out, whatever, and you lace it up like a boot, and then stand it up, and now you've got lots of airflow. Everything works perfectly. So this is super handy, and the really cool thing is, I'll point it out here, as it ages, those are your steak cut lines because it shrinks around those wires. So now you cut. There's your steak. Done. Boom. And it's super easy. And it just makes life way easier.
So Scott, we have a question from one of our good friends, Daddy Cooks. He's I believe in North Carolina or South Carolina also. He was wondering, what's your price point on your units starting out for an at-home person?
Well, the Pro 15, which I just took off the table here, is about $329, and the Pro 40 here is $889, and then we add accessories and whatever you want to do. It averages, depending on what people want, somewhere around $1,200.
Gotcha.
I mean, the Pro 15 is a great way to get started. It really is entry level. It's a lot of fun. But this, when it becomes by curing and aging your own meats, you realize just how good and how much you can enjoy, right? It's so superior to anything like. When I first tested the technology, I've never had a steak in a restaurant again. I can't do it because they don't cut it. It just doesn't cut.
Right.
I want 3 weeks wet aged. I want 45 days. That's my sweet spot. You might be 42 days. The flavor profiles change. It's very personal. And
right.
It's your own personal steak perfection or charcuterie perfection. And so it becomes a lifestyle, becomes a bit of a hobby. And you fill your freezer and you can enjoy it anytime.
And I mean, what makes it nice is the whole process that's going into it when you do it at home.
Absolutely. I mean, God bless a system that can feed hundreds of millions of people. I just want to understand what's on my plate. And with this Brasola, I've got fresh herbs. It's very simple. I've got some salt. It's a very simple process. And at the end of it, you just go, oh, that's so good.
Nice.
When it's just so delicious. And it's just nothing like you can't buy it.
Right.
And you have to do a little with charcuterie. You have to do a little homework. It turns into a spreadsheet hobby, if you will. But it's so delicious and it's healthy.
Right.
Yeah.
And just so you know, we have your friend Chef Eric in here.
Hey, Jeff.
Oh, that's cool. Right on. Nice.
And then forever.
And then we did want to say that for anyone that is watching or watching it at a later time, if you are interested in checking out the SteakAger and you did want to purchase, Scott was cool to hook us up with there's a discount code there, BBQ5, and that will give you 5% off your order. I did put all that information in the description of this video, so you can basically check out the website and you can enter in that discount code, and that basically will help you get into the dry aging game a little bit cheaper, that is very, very awesome. But now, Scott, I have a question. So with the Pro 15, so that goes inside your refrigerator, and on your table you have two different style racks. Is it only the smaller rack that can fit in the Pro 15?
No, actually, it's universal. We this rack which will fit in a Pro 15.
Yes.
Will fit in a Pro 40.
Yeah, so my question is the one that's next to you, that taller one?
Yeah, it will not go in the Pro 15.
Okay, that was my question. Okay, very cool.
So before we go on, Andrew, I want to say some hi to people in here. We've got T-Roy Cooks, we've got Rick's Barbecues and Specialties, we got Cypress Blue, and we got some other people hopping in. I just wanted to say hi to those before we kind of continue on.
Nice, right on. Nice. We got some big channels up in here tonight. I see.
Sure do.
You talk about dry aging, and man, all the cool big channels come out like ooh. Now everyone's ears are perked right now. I feel like we got the attention of the barbecue community. So thank you guys for all hopping in. But yeah, Scott, what were you gonna say?
Oh, I was babbling about subprimal. So
okay,
let me just say the best way to age is a full subprimal. It's going to be about 20 pounds, 18, 20 pounds, depending on the cut, and it's about 20 inches long. This handles every shape of subprimal. It doesn't matter if it's a tomahawk, bones hanging out. It doesn't matter. The way it's engineered, it'll take anything. And dry aging works best in large cuts, period. That's the original. That's the way it was for the last 1,000 years.
Right.
That's awesome. What were you going to say, Jared?
So, Chef Eric, he asked you a question. Can you use the trimmings that you take off of the ends of your aging from your meats?
Trimmings are what we call the pellicle. The pellicle is the crust. So if I look at this and I go, what happens is the skin literally it goes from moist and then it dries, forms a crust. And as you slab the steaks, you trim that, and you grind it for burgers, or you make bone broth out of it. And it's amazing broth. Oh my goodness! I used Chef Eric's recipe. Probably did 20 pounds of broth in a big soup pot over 4 days, and it's amazing. I froze it. We'll use it for the next
I was gonna say, if some of you guys don't know who Chef Eric is, he runs a Facebook page for the SteakAger family. So if one of the mods can go on Facebook, grab Chef Eric's link, post a link in here, because if you guys have seriously any questions, like there's the Facebook group, there's Chef Eric.
Doesn't also Eric have a YouTube channel as well?
Does, yeah.
Yeah.
So if one of you guys can do that, I mean, I would appreciate y'all doing that and just kind of sharing Chef Eric, because I mean, I'm sure Andrew and I may be picking Chef Eric's brain down the road sometime.
Nice.
Chef Eric, we did a Kickstarter back in the day, I don't know, 2016. We sold 1,000 units in 27 countries. And Chef Eric was one of our first customers. And he called up and said, I just love this. And we've been friends and working together ever since. We just have a lot of fun together. He's a great guy. Him and Lynn. Hi, Lynn.
Nice. That's awesome. That is so cool. So actually, I have a question. So when it comes to actual, like when you were saying when it started with the Kickstarter, so from Kickstarter to now, how many units do you think you are out all around the world enjoying SteakAger devices right now?
I'm going to put it at about 6,000, 7,000.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, we've shipped all over the world. Man, we've got Pro 40s in Tasmania, Finland. I mean, just it's crazy.
Nice. And then when you said you also do like commercial, I'm thinking like what that's like high-end restaurants and like grocery stores. Like,
well, so we get a lot of demand for that. What happens is your bistro owners, your gastropubs, love SteakAgers because they can take a burger and make it a $15 or $20 burger instead of a $12 burger by dry aging, right?
Nice.
They can bespoke every dish. So we get a lot of bistro owners. I don't know who they are. They're there because you know who they are. I mean, you just know that the bistro guys and girls. Yeah. So we don't do commercial restaurant equipment.
Got it.
We've been requested, and we've not started up. We're doing it. We're starting to build commercial equipment for the restaurant industry.
Wow.
There's demand for it, and they're asking. People are knocking on the door, going, "Let's get this done."
Yeah.
And it's fun. So we just did a system for a big beef company here in North Carolina, and it's just a lot of fun. It's fun. I mean, it's just I enjoy it.
How many pounds can that dry ager hold?
The big one?
Yeah.
Well, they're still working on it. See, we're in, let's call it beta testing, and I'm guessing they've got about 500 pounds in it now.
Oh, wow.
Oh, it's big. Yeah. And we just kitted it up with all our tech. We adapted our tech to larger fridges. Our tech is simple but complicated. And the question is, how does it live in the universe and deliver what we want, which is great steak?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, we're engineers, so we just sort it out.
And where exactly are you located at in North Carolina?
Beautiful Boone, North Carolina, in the mountains.
Boone, North Carolina.
Absolutely. Home of the Mountaineers, Appalachian State University.
Nice. So probably in about maybe 3 or 4 years, when me and Jared finally open up our barbecue restaurant, which Jared doesn't even know about this, I'm thinking I want to work with you and have one so big we could literally just put a whole cow in there and just maybe truss up a whole cow, and just when people walk in, be like, oh my God, like
Don't worry about it.
You have a rotting cow behind like the bar or something like that. It's like, in 45 days, it's going to be the best thing you've ever tasted.
Sign me up for the tech. I'm in.
Oh, that's funny. Right on. Very cool. So, Jared, do you have any personal questions?
So, I know Andrew and I, we've picked your brain previously before this. For somebody getting new into the dry aging, the curing of the meats, do you have anything you recommend for books, for kind of go-to platforms for somebody to keep everything safe where they can do things properly?
With dry aging beef, this bone out ribeye is a whole muscle. So the SteakAger is designed to keep it safe, so you don't have to worry about it. There's no curing, there's no salts, there's no measuring, there's no weighing. You just have to make sure that it's not touching anything, and we have air circulation built in. So dry aging is actually very simple, and you can just enjoy it. When you flip the switch and go to charcuterie, things get a little more complicated. And I recommend folks, there's a Rollman and Polson charcuterie, or
Salumi.
Oh, fantastic book. So get a spreadsheet going. So you need little spreadsheet skills. You need 2 scales. You need a larger scale, smaller scale, and work with whole muscles. Again, don't do sausages to start. I make sausage all the time. I make chorizo. I make whatever I feel like, metwurst. Just did a sausage on stack. Great, but that gets busy, and it has food safety issues. If you make a lonzino, which is a pork loin, it's a whole muscle, and you can't mess it up, and it's so delicious. So you can kind of wade into the addiction, if you will, of making your own charcuterie without worrying about food safety as much. But you have to be aware of it. With charcuterie, you use salts, curing salts, herbs.
Right.
Like a Bristolo here, you can see you've got you can see the mold on it. It's when it's done, it's just fantastic. But it's at 60 degrees, so it's curing at a much higher temperature.
Oh,
So
wow.
the temperature profile is different. But that's where the salts come in. So the salts, and by the way, that's Bactrofirm 600 covering. So there's a little bit of technology involved, old technology. Yeah, I would recommend the Roman Poulsen salumi. Great standard recipes. You need a scale. And to get started, I would just do a Lanzino or a Bristolo, which is a whole muscle meat. When you get into sausages, when you're grinding, when you're mixing, now you've increased the surface area. The pathogen vectors are there. Now you're into food safety territory.
Right.
It's always food safety territory, but it's more so with sausage. So now you're refrigerating in between grinding and mixing. You're freezing. It becomes more of a step-by-step process. And if your brain works that way, it's the delicious hobby. It really is.
Nice. That's
Awesome.
awesome. The I know that from a just kind of an ease of use thing, when I had gotten the ribeye at Costco, it was literally cutting it open from the bag, placing it in the rack, and then basically taking the twine, trussing it up, and literally just putting it, it stands up on its own in the SteakAger, and then closing the door. And, you kind of, the one thing I don't think we talked about is along with the SteakAger, you guys have an app. And so you can pretty much through your phone,
Yeah.
we live in a technologically advanced, age. I want to be at work and I want to just, I think, what's sad. I hope my wife, I hope my wife doesn't hear this. I probably call in to the SteakAger just to check on it, just to make sure it's okay that, I'm only kidding. But right now, like, just, here is a thing of the app. So we're looking at, 37 degrees, 72 for humidity. And then it basically says, hey, you have 40 days left of 45 days. And, and actually, Scott, here's a question. Yeah. When it comes down, when it actually gets to, 0 days left, is there an alert that happens? Like,
yeah, you'll get a little push text.
Okay, yeah, very, very cool. So, yeah, I don't know. The app is everything about it's
user friendly.
User friendly. Jared, when he's talking about, like, is there any books you have to read? Like, to me, if a hobby becomes too kind of complicated, it's like, oh, I don't know, I'm probably going to screw it up. I don't want to, I don't want to even look into it. But with dry aging, it's just like, I would say the SteakAger, it does all the heavy lifting. You just, cut open the meat, slap it in, truss it up, put it in there, take it out. And then actually, so when it comes to, say, I know you recommended most people try a boneless ribeye, a full subprimal for their first, go, just, you have good results with that. Take us from start to finish. If they went to, Costco or wherever, and they got if they got a USDA choice or a USDA prime ribeye roast, maybe walk us, from start to finish, even how to cut it in the whole 9 yards.
For sure. So let's say you're going to Costco, which is where I've bought for years, and it's great stuff. My favorite is a bone out ribeye. A bone in is great. It's got greater mass. It can age longer, but then you've got the complication of separating the bones and going through that detail, and it can be frustrating if you don't have the right equipment. I just like a good steak, so I don't have a bandsaw or any fancy equipment dealing with it. So I usually do bone out rib. It is going to be about 18 pounds. The typical aging period is 45 days for me. That's my favorite, 45, 42, maybe 46. And it'll deliver 12, 16 steaks, depending on how big it is. And, you trim the pellicle from them. I'll vacuum pack them, throw them in the freezer, and they're just available anytime you want. When they're vacuum packed, because there's no water in them, they freeze fantastic. It's just, there's no compromise. They can come out 6 months later on a Monday afternoon when it's raining. and you just had an amazing steak. It's like, wow, that was great. So it preserves really well. With the pellicle, which is significant, it adds up. I'll vacuum pack that, save it up. I'll do burgers. If you take pellicle and grind it and mix it 1/3, 2/3 with chuck. So if you take chuck, ground chuck, which is 75% water, you mix in the dry age, which has no water in it. It rehydrates, and you've got amazing burgers. You got to let them sit for a little bit, and it's just like, whoa, that's a completely different burger experience. Or you make broth with it. So I've done bone-in. It's convenience for me with bone-out. It's simply, I just like a good steak. That's it. I've done, when we design these racks, they're designed so that it fits, the curved side of the cut fits down into the holding, and this could be bones and fat cap and all kinds of stuff. We don't know. It's an organic object, and it laces up and holds well, and it'll age properly for the period that's required. Yeah.
Wow, that's awesome.
So we got a question. What makes your machines different than a standard fridge?
Yeah. Okay. So this little guy, in another life, was a wine cooler. We had to completely re-engineer it so it could survive the constant freeze-thaw cycles of dry aging. So a typical fridge just runs cold and dry. That's what it's designed for. Well, we run. If I have 50 pounds of beef in here, I've got 75% water, and I have this freeze-thaw cycle I have to deal with. So the engineering of this fridge is completely different than a normal cooler or fridge, wine cooler. It has to handle crazy amounts of water and liquid traffic through it. So it's just, you can DIY it, but I'm a DIY guy. I'm an engineer, so that's good. But most people aren't. So I'm happy to do it for you. That's what we do.
Good deal.
And the funny thing is, you dig into it that sometimes when you load 2 subprimals, it's worth more than the unit.
True.
So don't mess that up.
Yeah, I kind of almost learned that the hard way there.
We all have.
Oh. That was kind of out of your control, Jared. I mean, I don't think you've ever seen weather like that in Texas before.
Oh,
no, we haven't. I mean, I will say that I'm very grateful for my Yeti cooler that
nice.
I contacted. I want to say also thank you to Chef Eric, also because he was the one who recommended just wrapping it loosely in foil or butcher paper and just setting it inside of a cooler. And I mean, like I say, I just want to say also, I mean, thank you to Scott, thank you to Chef Eric, because I was over here sweating bullets because that was almost a house payment or a rent payment that I had in that I still have in that SteakAger. So
don't forget the beast. I call this the beast. The beast is tough, but yeah, it has to maintain proper temperatures. If you open the door, you'll see it swings in temperature on the app because you open the door. That does not mean the beef warmed up that quickly. It's a cold, dense body, so it's going to stay cold for a while. So yeah, you got to be careful with it.
Well, and at least in Jared's, situation, Texas froze over. Out here in California, when it gets like over 120 and then the power goes out, you're kind of screwed. Like at least with Jared, he could throw his Wagyu out in the snow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I could picture Jared building like a snow igloo and be like, I gotta protect my freaking Wagyu. Like, oh my god. But yeah, out in California, man, it definitely gets hot out here. But so far, I absolutely love this unit. I see a few more people hopping in the chat. What's up, yes. Johnny? What is up, Joe and Chris? And man, we got a bunch of people. Tom, we got a bunch of people hopping in here. That is very, very cool. So actually, I know that Jared's doing it right now. Jared, you said you were dry aging you were doing 2 cuts. What was the second one?
My first one, like I said, is the brisket, and my Wagyu, American Wagyu ribeye, 15-pounder. The Wagyu's 15. The brisket is 18 pounds.
Now I know that you said with your Wagyu, you were bringing it up to, what was it, like 65 days or something like that?
No. The Wagyu is going to be
the brisket.
Wagyu is going to be 45 days, and then my brisket is 60 days.
60 days, right on.
So as of right now, we've got, how many days do we have left? We've got 45 days left on my brisket, and 29 days left on my ribeye.
Right on.
So,
Scott, now I know that when Jared said that he was going to, take his brisket to like, what is it, brisket to 65 days, you were recommending the using the you were talking about the humidifier. Talk to us a little bit about, like, so you have dry aging, and then I love the term you call it, like, next level dry aging, and so I absolutely love the term. So let me, if you could explain, what.
Yes. Okay. So a typical subprimal, 20 pounds, maybe 2 in a unit like this. You don't have to humidify the space up to 45, 50 days. You really don't.
Yeah.
You would pick up a fraction of a millimeter of excess pellicle. I mean, it's almost, you don't need it. So you can have fun. And at the 35-day level, that's when the Maillard reaction begins, the enzymatic breakdown, and the flavor profile changes. Right about 35 days. So 35 to 45 days, you're good. Now, the adventure starts when you get beyond 50. And I'm not a next level of dry ager. You can go to a year. I mean, there's epic stories where they'll take something out a year and a half, and you get mushrooms, blue cheese, all kinds of crazy. And I'm like, Amy and I sit down, we enjoy a nice 45-day dry age.
Yeah.
But, when you want to go into those zones, which is perfect as part of your adventure, this is an adventure, a personal adventure, you need to add humidity so you don't have over dry. So the humidification system whisks moisture back into the cavity. It stabilizes at 75% relative humidity, and you can go a year. I mean, just do it, man.
Yeah,
folks do. And they talk about, it's like a fine wine, right? It's like, well, it's a bespoke experience. I'm a 45-day dry age guy. 3 weeks of wet age, 45 days dry. I'm good.
Yeah,
that's my favorite. But that's the thing about dry aging. When you do it at home, you reach your own personal perfection.
Yeah,
this is with you and your wife or your buddies or whatever. This is it, and that's the high road. And whatever that is, it could be 52 days, 60, 48, 42. It'll be different between a strip, a New York strip loin can't handle the heavy aging that a bone-in ribeye can handle, or just you learn in the adventure as you go along, and it's fun and tasty.
So Daddy Phil from Daddy Cook asked me, and maybe you can help answer this, Scott. He asked me, am I afraid that the amount of fat in that Wagyu will go rancid?
No, not at all. In fact, what happens in dry aging, with the continual cycle of air, we're going to whisk moisture away from the cut of beef. Okay, so that's going to prevent any rancid or pathogens or bugs from growing. What you'll find is the fat will condense. It will lose moisture content. It will take on a butter consistency, fork cut. Just amazing. Like, it's just a different level of experience. You go 45 days, especially with Wagyu. Oh my God. Wagyu can really handle aging because it's got a lot of fat. So your ribeye has lots of fat in it, and that can age really well because fat helps aging. It's part of the package. If you had a tenderloin, right? Very little fat, it's great. It's going to go 10 days aging, maybe 15. That's it. It's got no fat. It's got no mass. So if you look at overall, dry aging is a function. The dry aging time is a function of mass, and it's tastier with more fat. That's how it works.
Right.
And the fat really turns into like butter, and it's delicious. It's really good.
Man, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
So out of, between for everything that you've dry aged, if you were to put a poundage amount for everything that you've dry aged, what do you think that number would be?
Well, I have not had a steak in 6 years that hasn't been dry aged at 42 to 50 days.
Wow.
So let's start right there.
Yeah.
I haven't had chili that doesn't have beef in it that's been dry aged 40 to 45. Everything you do with beef, if it's dry aged, is an order of magnitude better. Like kapow over the. It's just better. Everything is. If you go into a supermarket and you grab that steak, it's got 14 days wet aged from processing. That's it. Right? You can take that, buy a subprimal on sale after the holidays, and literally you stole it. I don't know what the cost is per pound.
Yeah, it's insane.
Had it dry, put it in the SteakAger, and guess what? 45 days later, it's epic. It's amazing. So you can catch great value and enjoy it. So I've got a freezer full of steak. We have, we're always grilling up at the shop, and it's part of what we do.
That's
so
awesome.
I got a question for you, Scott. What if somebody was supposed to take a brisket, dry age it for 60 days, and then turn around, brine it, and turn it into a pastrami? How would that work out?
I don't know. So I'm prepared to work with you on it. Chef Eric might have an opinion.
Okay.
Never heard of that. Now,
let's try it and let's do it.
Do an experiment. Yeah. I can tell you that brisket ages differently. It's got more moisture content. It's got different striation within the intermuscular structure. So it's different. But I did it a couple of times, and it was absolutely fantastic, and I smoked it. So if you're doing that Texas thing with smoking with dry-aged brisket, it's good. It's fantastic.
Yeah.
It's next-level stuff.
Man.
Yes, sir.
And then, so before, I know that you were talking about like the when you had recommended the salumi book, and you're talking about making the different types. Did you do that before you did dry aging? Like what?
I did. Yeah, I did. I built at my house in Ontario, up north. In Canada. Back in the day, I built a curing locker. Automated it, had it fully controlled, and I was making soppressata, I was making bresaola, prosciutto, aging 2-year cycles on prosciutto. I was just having fun. It was fun. My buddy Al in the neighborhood and Chris, and we just had fun doing it. But it satisfied. I have an engineering background, so it as a hobby, it was accurate enough that it kept kept me busy. And I enjoy it. So the dry aging is different, and to me,
Nice.
To me, it's just temperature and humidity. So how do we control it? How do we make it work? And it works. So
yeah, it's interesting that you say that. When you would say you try your first dry aged steak, and you're like, what ruins it for you is you can never go to a restaurant and order steak because nothing compares. And I think I did I have a little background in home brewing your own beer, and when you add in the fresh ingredients, the fresh hops, the fresh wheat, and you make it yourself, and you try it, and you're like, man, it sucks because now you can no longer go down to the grocery store and get just like what, even if they deem it craft beer, you taste it and you're like, oh man, like. It doesn't.
That's why you need a rig at home. You set this stuff up.
Yes, yeah. And here's the thing: with the home brewing, there's so much science and what you're talking about, spreadsheets and mathematics, and long, over a long period of time. But what I like is the aspect of the SteakAger is you just throw it in there, and 45 days later, you take it out, you cut it up, and do a simple trimming.
That's the worst part of our technology is there's no instant gratification.
Yeah.
And it's a funny little backstory, but we'll sell a Pro 40. It'll go into Iowa or wherever, and it's like the zip code we never sold in. 45 days later, somebody has a backyard barbecue in that zip code, and 4 more sell.
Nice.
People go, what is that?
Oh, that's great. That's
Nice.
funny. Oh my gosh, that's awesome. Yeah, I cannot wait. And it's kind of funny when I posted, I posted the picture, actually here, if you are tuning in. So I posted this on my Facebook page, and immediately the comments are just like, I'll see you in 45 days from like 15 people, because people are like, what, dry aging? I need to get a cut in it.
Perfect. Yeah.
It's the with this piece, I was able to, one of my coworkers, I was telling him, I'm like, hey, I got this dry age unit. He's like, dude, if you get a full thing, I'll literally, split the cost with you 50-50. And then I was like, hey, now that makes getting into it cheaper, because, you find a barbecue. Yeah. You find a barbecue buddy to go in with. And now, dude, like,
yeah. No, it's true. We get a lot of that. We get like co-buying, if you will, where 3 or 4 people will buy in, because there's a lot of capacity, or less if it's a small one. But no, over here, between 2 or 3 buddies, you can be dry aging 24/7 and filling up freezers. It's good.
Yeah. Now I've seen it actually set up 2 ways. I think so. This is Jared's setup.
Yep.
And so in theory, you could pretty much take 2 large, subprimals and put them in the Pro 40. But I've also seen they'll take the smaller racks and they'll put in, like, if you remove that bottom shelf, how many of those racks could you put in?
Okay, so you can actually put 4 of these in.
Yeah.
Boom,
So
boom,
I've seen, I think, one on the SteakAger Facebook page, which, by the way, go check out the SteakAger Facebook page, because
Yes.
definitely there's pretty much like the community that evolves around dry aging pretty much just lives on there. And then you just get to see awesome setups. And so I swear I saw one where it literally looked like it had 4 racks on there, and they were all maxed out. I mean, nothing was touching, but like the guy was like, I think I have like 55 to 60 pounds of meat in a Pro. And I'm like, my gosh. And you know what? If you think about it, I'm wondering, just because, it's like that process of like delayed gratification. But if you put in, say, like, 1 every other week, and then get to where you're, like, you're pulling one off, cutting it up, putting it back in, and it's kind of like you'll always have, dry aged,
absolutely.
I might actually, I might start doing it.
In the holiday season, if you do it's Christmas, and let's say you do a 5-bone prime rib, dry aged, 60 days. Sit everybody in the family at the Christmas table and have that bad boy. Oh, it's so good. Dry aged, the whole roast.
Wow.
You smoke it.
Chef
it's like a cure. It's so
Chef
good.
Chef Eric told you, Andrew, you're not going to want to let go half of a subprimal after you're done with this.
I know. I'm almost being like, here's your money back. You know what? Maybe I should like lie to him and be like, oh yeah, it didn't turn out good. I had to throw everything away. Here's your, here's your money back. But man, I definitely, I cannot. That is very true. But I can't wait.
If you vacuum pack and throw them in the freezer, you can just, the smorgasbord of, that 45-day age, there it is. Pull it out, have it whenever you want. That's the coolness. That's the complete coolness. Yeah.
And I think we talked about it, how you can cut the steaks that you already have that built in, and just people that are watching, that's 1.5 inches. They're spaced in between, each of those things. So a nice, thick, beautiful steak. Oh man, it is so good. I can't wait.
It's so good.
Yeah. Oh man, I cannot wait.
We started making these racks with, 1-inch racks, 1.25 inches. I'm like, 1.5 inches is the way to go. Bang, decision made. 1.5 inches.
Yeah.
We may make them, if there's demand, we'll make them at different lengths. But it leaves a nice mark. You just cut down the mark and it's done.
That's awesome.
Done.
Then when you were saying with the pellicil, and then you mix it in with the meat, say if you're making burgers, you would do like a 1-to-3 ratio.
Yeah, 1 to 2, 1/3, 2/3. Probably the easiest thing for a newbie to do is to take the pellicle, freeze it, vacuum pack it, or just freeze it, get the air out of the bag, save it up, and make broth. It's amazing. I mean, if you buy beef broth, when you do aged beef broth,
so actually, walk us through that process. So I got my, so say after 45 days, I trim it up, so I freeze it, and then so how would I make this, epic beef broth that you're talking about?
It's onions, carrots, celery, herbs. You're going to saute them, get them soft. In goes the pellicle, in goes water, and let it go for a day or two. And then strain it all out. Do a reduction. Sit it in the fridge or in the freezer. Let the fat. You remove the fat, so you just get to the bone broth. Put all your bones in there as well, by the way. And then you get this super dense, super rich dry aged beef broth. It's just unbelievable. Chef Eric, I used his recipe last time, and it was unbelievable. It's on his website, or he'll post a link to it. It's unimaginably good. If you have a meat grinder, okay, so if the adventure is going down the path and you get a meat grinder, I have a meat grinder. Guess what? We're making burgers, and it's great. You take that, you grind that pellicle up, you blend it with a chuck and your spices, and you get the right ratios, and you could do it whatever it's basically 1/3 dry aged to 2/3 fresh. So however you like your burger, add 1/3, by mass. And then you just get this amazing, what happens is the dry age pulls the moisture out of the fresh, and it rehydrates, and it just spreads its flavor, and it's really good. It's super good.
So we got Russ Jones in here, which.
Hey, Russ.
And then I think it was Cypress was saying basically you can just use your standard vacuum sealer to vacuum seal these steaks, throw them in your freezer. How long would you say they'll last in your freezer?
Under a year.
Under a year?
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, I've got a freezer full, and I pull them out. Had a nice steak the other night.
Nice.
Nice pepper steak, by the way.
And you were saying since there's less water in it, there's no chance of like freezer burn. So pretty much, it can keep a little bit. Yeah.
It preserves amazingly. You just don't have, there's no water in it. So.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I also forgot to say we have Johnny from View to a Grill in here.
You can't forget Johnny, man.
Johnny.
Your brother in Texas, man.
I thought we already mentioned Johnny. I mean, I apologize if I missed Johnny. So I apologize, Johnny, for missing you.
All good, man. Well, I think we had a awesome turnout tonight. Jared, is there any other questions that you have?
No, I know that there's quite a bit of awesome other YouTubers that have received one of these units, and I know that everyone in the barbecue community family, we're all gonna help each other out. We're all gonna support each other, and that's just what makes it great. And so I'm looking forward to all of us just kind of learning from each other, going forward with this more than anything. So
yeah, I'm seriously curious, like at the end of your 45 days for your Wagyu ribeye, like, I'd definitely be curious, because again, like I love Wagyu, and I love Wagyu by itself just because it's so rich. And I could see that if you take something that's so rich and then make it richer, I'm like, oh dude, I would personally have to tap out on that. But dude, you're gonna basically be the hey.
I mean, like Phil said, why are you gonna dry age something that's already good on its own? I mean, I totally
next level. Here it is. It goes that much better.
I mean, I totally agree with Phil, but I mean, if I don't learn from what I like, I mean, I will promise you this.
Yeah.
That 15-pound Wagyu ribeye is not going to go to waste.
Oh, I
No,
agree. Oh, yeah. No, I agree. And here's the thing. I think in the back of your mind, it's one of those things where like it will always be, what if I did, what if I did that Wagyu? So sometimes it's always in the back of your mind. And now that you could try it and be like, you know what? It was awesome. But, next time
Right.
I can definitely enjoy prime grade or choice and,
Right.
and then definitely experimenting with that. So it's kind of interesting. So Jared, I think we're on polar opposites right now. So, I was able only locally to score choice. You were able to just because Jared has, I think there's a metal horseshoe implanted in Jared's lower back area. And so he's able to score this Wagyu rack that any other meat company would charge like $1,000 to $1,500. And, Jared's getting it for a steal. And so I think we're on the polar opposite. So I'll share my experiences. Well, we could probably do a collab out of this, Jared. I'll share my experiences.
We are, Andrew. So much. I know we're getting close to our hour, but we do have a few questions. First off, Chef Eric said, "I'll definitely eat them before it's going to be too long," which I totally agree with him. And then Cypress Blue asked, "What about wild game? Can you do like moose and bear and whatever?" And then to kind of add another question to it. Oh yeah, and Darnell is asking, is it for aging beef or can you do pork also?
So let's deal with game. I'm a hunter. You can age, but anything that's running around working for a living in the back 40, it's not got a lot of fat, so it can't handle a lot of aging. So it might be a 20-day age, but what's going to happen is you're going to still going to concentrate flavor, but you're still going to have to add fat to it in cooking and the same procedure you would, but it's still going to concentrate flavor. So lots of guys do. I have not, but lots of folks do. And the second question was what? Sorry. Oh, pork, of course.
Pork, yes.
Yes, absolutely. A bone-in loin. Chef Eric's been doing 40, 60-day runs. I have not. Chef says it's awesome. Chef's the guy. It's amazing. I mean, it's as long as you have whole muscle meats, as long as you have decent fat content, pork works great. Chicken is a no-no. Pork, beef works. Game works less.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, could you explain? I think I know a little bit why behind the science, but why wouldn't chicken work in a dry aging setup?
It's just okay. So I'm not a food scientist.
Okay.
It's just not done. It's just not good.
Just some things shouldn't be done, Andrew.
Hey, you know what? So here's the thing. So Jared, if you know me, I'm the type like my last cook I did. I took a tri-tip and was like, let's treat it like a brisket. Why? Just because. Like, what happens if you bring it to past 200 and get it probe temperature? Who knows? It's something to try. So for me, yeah, it's one of those things where I try it. But I think from what I heard from, I was watching some I think it was like a science show or something like that, and they were saying that the way that beef is specifically laid out is it's the way the muscle fibers runs. It's very hard for microorganisms to actually penetrate and get inside the meat, and it works a lot better with than say if you're talking about pork or if you're talking about chicken. Just how the meat fiber things work out. So a lot of times when you take a steak, some people will take a steak like Jared does, 115, and then does a quick sear and eats it. And don't
do that with chicken.
Yeah, exactly. And so the reason why you wouldn't do that with chicken is those microorganisms. So why you can do that with a steak is since most of the organisms or whatever that gunk lives on the surface of the meat, since it can't penetrate it, you're killing it with the hot sear and whatnot. But when it comes to the chicken, since the way the meat is actually put together, apparently, all those like microorganisms or salmonella, it could actually get further deep into the center of the meat. And so that's why you thoroughly have to cook it to, 165, 175, whatever the, whatever that safe temperature is for that protein. But yeah, there's something magical and special about beef. So
Yep.
So, my show, I'm not trying to rush us, but mine's going to start here in about 5 minutes. But if we could answer Darnell's question about pork, can you?
Yeah, I think he said, yeah.
Yeah, you can. And I would, Darnell should check out Chef Eric, his website, YouTube, and his channels, because he's done full bone-in loins, and he says it's amazing. I have not, but for no other reason that I haven't. So it's on my, I haven't checked that box yet, but Chef Eric's done it. It's great. And he could speak to the directly. I think on one of his videos, he speaks directly to the flavor changes, profile, everything. It's fantastic.
Dang, actually, yeah, that. So man, I guess I got to pick Chef Eric's brain because.
Oh yeah.
Yes,
I love
picking his brain.
I love pork loin, and so to me that. Ooh.
Yeah,
and I would say you would also, because it's you would still bring it up to what you said, like maybe around 20 days or something.
I'm going to defer to Chef on
this. Actually,
his last one went 45 days. So no, he's been working on a program of discovery through, as long as it's a subprimal bone in. It's got mass. It's a whole muscle. He's been aging that, and he's out to 45 days, and it's great. It's just amazing. So now we have to pull him into further conversation on the details, because he's a detailed guy. He's a chef. I'm not.
I saw Darnell's comment, and he's like, "Oh crap! I have to buy a new toy now."
I like that guy.
Yeah, so if Darnell and anyone else watching that feels just like Darnell, like crap, I got to experience what this dry age goodness is about. If you are interested in throwing down for the SteakAger, we did offer a barbecue discount code. So BBQ5 will get you 5% off your order. So if you did want to, check out dry aging, definitely feel free to use that code. But man, I can't wait. I still got 40 days.
That's the worst part of my business model.
And
no instant gratification.
Yeah, and I hope that if I eat slow enough, I can quickly throw another cut in there, because oh man,
we need to regroup at 40 days.
You know what, we should do a 40 day, and actually, Jared, maybe we could do a live stream where you're cooking your Wagyu. You know what? That's what we're going to do. Live stream. Jared could, we'll cook up live. Jared, you could throw down your Wagyu ribeye. I'll throw down the not Wagyu. I wish it was Wagyu. The choice grade. I can only get, actually, okay, sorry. One last thing. My mind's going a million miles per second. And I think I saw it shared in the SteakAger, and I actually did see at Costco, they started doing this new thing called blade tenderizing. Have you heard about this?
Yes.
So someone had brought it up, and they were saying like, oh no, this is bad. And it's literally like you pick it up and you have to read the description and make sure that it doesn't say blade tenderized, because it looks like, and I've actually seen, I think they had like a New York strip that was blade tenderized, and it's like 1,000 little needle points that like stick inside and come out. And there's some people that have taken blade tenderized.
Andrew,
beef. What's up?
I'm gonna have to hop off, go get on mine, because
you got to break.
I started earlier today, because normally we don't ever go this long. So
right when Scott says, "Hey, I can go all night, baby," you're like, "Crap, no, I can't either." All right,
I'll see you on your side, Jared.
Yeah, let's go. Come over to my site, guys.
We'll be there.
Andrew, if you'll drop the link to my channel, I'll be over there waiting for you guys.
Definitely. Awesome. You got it.
All right, brother.
All right. Cheers, man.
Later.
Yeah, the blade tenderizing is not good.
Yeah.
You stay away from it. The problem is, and we're selling beef now on our website, and we know where it comes from. We know it's terroir. We know we like it. It's more expensive, but we know what it is. And a lot of what floats around in industry is mystery. You don't know. They blade tenderized it. What that does is increase the surface area. It's like ground beef now. So the blade tenderizing allows you to cut into a cheaper cut of beef. It allows you to inject more chemicals into age it, if you will, make it more tender. It's just we need simple. We need to as a community, we need to get simple about the things we enjoy.
Yeah.
We need to up primal. We need to know that it's handled well, raised well, fed well, enjoyed well, not just blade tenderized.
Yeah, and I think it's something just to bring it up that if you are, because it's hard to you don't really know it until like unless you look very closely at it, and then also if you read the label, you definitely don't want to see. Now it was funny. I think I went on. I think it was actually a week ago. Last Friday, went to Costco. Unfortunately, they didn't have the ribeye roast, and all they had was the New York strip, and I was like, I guess I could compromise. Whatever, New York strip, it's gonna be, it's gonna be good, whatever. But then I looked at it, and I'm like, this is blade tenderized, and I'm like, oh man. So anyway, went back that Sunday, and they had just gotten, thankfully, ribeye roasts that were, unmolested, should I say, by these by these blade tenderizers. So I was like, oh, perfect. And I mean, this thing was huge, 18.5 pounds. So I looked at it, just looking at the photo. It looks like
it's a monster.
Yeah. And it looks like,
I love it.
Just depending on those lines, it looks like I can get 8, thick cuts out of that monster. I can't wait. That is just awesome. But Scott, I guess we'll wrap it up. And I did want to say just thank you for hopping on.
It's been great.
Normally, these lives are 30 minutes, but I think just out of excitement and just excitement within the barbecue community, there's just something magical about.
It's fun. Welcome to the adventure.
No, I 100% agree. For anyone that is actually watching, that is a moderator, if you could drop Jared's live stream link so that we can basically hop over after this live stream, that would be cool. But again, thank you, Scott. If you want to hang out in the green room for a second, I'll chat with you. But other than that, we'll close it out. So very cool. So, hey, thank you guys for hopping in, and I will catch you guys on the next one. Scott, thank you, man. All right, cheers, guys. Peace.
And now, folks, it's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.